everybody. This video will give an overview of smallpox eradication and progress with polio and guinea worm eradication programs. It will highlight why they are good candidates for eradication, and it will show some pros and cons of disease eradication programs in general. One of the first methods for controlling smallpox was virilation. People were exposed to materials from smallpox sores by scratching the material into their arm or inhaling it through the nose. The basis for vaccination began in 1796 when the English doctor Edward Jenner noticed that milkmaids who had gotten cowpox were protected from smallpox. Dr. Jenner took material from a cowpox sore on a milkmaid's hand and inoculated it into the arm of a 9-year-old boy. Months later, Jenner exposed the boy several times to viral virus, but he never developed smallpox. Vaccination became widely accepted and gradually replaced the practice of virilation. At some point in the 1800s, the virus used to make the smallpox vaccine changed from cowpox to vaccinia.
The whole story of the World Health Organization smallpox eradication campaign, I think, is one of the most amazing and moving stories in 20th century medicine.
This is one of those great endeavours where human intelligence and goodwill across the world came together.
When the eradication program began, we were losing 2 million people a year to smallpox. And remember, only a third of the people died. A lot of other people horribly scarred.
In 1966, the World Health Assembly voted on a budget of $2.5 million to begin the global program aimed at eliminating smallpox from the world. Many were skeptical that smallpox could be eradicated, as many other disease eradication programs were not succeeding, for example malaria. When the smallpox campaign began in 1967, more than 30 countries were considered endemic, with importations being reported in 12 countries. The main affected regions included South America, West and Central Africa, East and Southern Africa, India and Indonesia. In 1980, the WHO declared smallpox eradicated, the only infectious disease to achieve this distinction.
Out of the 3 types of wild polio, only type 1 remains.
It's a disease that causes permanent paralysis. We can't cure it, but we can prevent it. 2 important tools help to prevent polio, 2 safe, effective vaccines. One of these vaccines is given with just 2 drops into the mouth of a child. This is called the oral polio vaccine. The other is given with an injection. This is called the inactivated poliovirus vaccine.
So, is it possible to eradicate polio? It is, because it is an acute and non-persistent infection. It is transmitted only by infectious people. The virus survival in the environment is finite. The only reservoir is the human, and the immunization interrupts the virus transmission.
Guinea worm is caused by the guinea worm, which has a Latin name that translates to affliction with little dragons. It affects the poorest populations, mostly those without access to safe water, but the disease still had generally low status in the public health priorities. Up to date, it has no drug treatment or vaccine. How does infection occur? So by drinking unfiltered or contaminated water that has the worm's larvae, the larva then penetrates the host stomach, and then they mature and then reproduce. And then the fertilized female worm migrates to the surface of the skin, and it causes blisters and then discharges the larva. And then the larva goes back into the water, and then the cycle continues. So what did we get from this? Humans are the principal host of the disease. Eradication is centered on disrupting the life cycle of the worm. Number one, you identify the human cases and then you eliminate the worm. How? So you have to remove the worm. Number two, you then use safe chemical treatments to water sources, and then you also use water filters. This can also include cloth filters, which are really inexpensive. And also public education to prevent contamination, and also help the communities have safe water from underground that is not contaminated. Number one, the benefits outweigh the costs. Number two, after the last human case, there's no chance for the disease to return. Number three, the signs and symptoms are publicly recognized, making it easy to diagnose. Number four, it is predictable when the worm will re-emerge at predictable times of the year. And also, it was eradicated and eliminated in the former Soviet Union and in the endemic areas of Iran in the 1970s. The disease had a low profile and limited status in the public health priorities, and as such, internal donor support was limited, and also it was also difficult to maintain donor support for NTDs. There were other political and societal barriers. As the world in general, 199 countries and territories are also certified. We only have 7 countries remaining. And from the 3.5 million cases we had in the mid-1980s, only 14 were reported in 2021.